I said, we wanted to do something a little bit different. And a former brewer of ours, Robin, who worked with us for a bunch of years, eventually his life took him back to his home in Colorado. And Robin's been out there brewing in Colorado, and we've stayed in touch. And he was telling Joel that their best-selling IPA is what they call a West Coast Hazy. Now, to us, that was kind of something we weren't really familiar with personally. So we asked him to describe it. And basically what he said is, like, if you take the hopping rates that you would for a New England IPA, so that, 4, 5, 6 pound per barrel range, and then you turn around and instead of fermenting it with a really fruity English yeast strain, and instead of using a lot of adjuncts in your beer, you really strip it down. So you're really using just very like base malt, 2-row, and a really clean yeast strain. And the idea is to sort of marry the hopping rates and the hop expression without that background of the really fruity English yeast, and to really also leave you with a beer that's a little bit drier, a little bit crisper. So it sort of walks the line between what I think a lot of us consider like the old school West Coast IPAs and definitely the new school, sweeter, thicker, richer New England IPAs. So here we go. So this beer is, get the water out of there, hopped entirely with Simcoe and Citra. So we kind of wanted to do some kind of older school hops with that. And as you can see from the color here, it's actually still quite hazy. And that's all from the hops. So take a bit. Wow. Okay, really different than what I'm used to with New England IPAs. You get a lot of the fruit expression coming from the hops, but it's very different. It's more of the citrusy, definitely a little bit of that pineapple, but you get a little more of like a cleaner dankness to it. Not quite as tropical. I think the best way to describe it is it's a little more pointed in the flavors and or the aromas, I should say. But see what it tastes. Okay, that's very cool. Can go in for a second. The first thing that jumps out at me is this really like focused hop taste and aroma when you take the sip. Again, like a New England IPA tends to have this really sort of broad, generalized sort of fruitiness and this real depth to it. This is much more sort of sharp and pinpoint. Still a ton of it going on, but it's definitely very different. This is also very different when it comes to the body. Um, it's just a lot more, I'm going to use the word lean. It's not thin. This beer is still finished over 4 Plato, so it's a pretty good body to it. But compared to what we see in a lot of New England IPAs, this is going to come across as a much more sort of lean, again, more precise, more focused. You definitely get some of that pininess there. And there's a nice sort of balanced bitterness on the back, which I think with the change in the malt presence and without that really fruity yeast expression that you get from English yeast strains that we classically use in New England IPAs, really comes across as like much more of a sort of pointed and focused. It's pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, this is definitely like a marriage of the styles between what we see with New England IPA and what we see with sort of old school West Coast IPAs. So if you're looking for something a little bit different, something that's a little more bright and a little more focused on the hop flavors, and something that's drinks a little bit leaner. I wouldn't really call it like really crisp and clean, but it's definitely, compared to a New England IPA, definitely something that's a little more pinpoint and a little more precise. But yeah, pretty cool beer. So again, it's Emerald, Maine. It's coming out this weekend in the tasting room for our anniversary, and hope you guys enjoy it. And just want to again say thanks, Robin, for turning us onto this. Cheers. I really like that.